Well, hello. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Stephen. Now, with a little bit of an upgrade having been done. As many of you who've been following along at home know, Sandy and I suffered yet another slab leak, which required them to redo our flooring and everything else. Anyways, to make a long story short, the desk that I've had at my house is now finally in my office. So I have upgraded to something that at least looks slightly more like an attorney's desk. Anyways, this blog this week, it's a little tongue in cheek, but perhaps there's some wishful thinking on my part. It's called Code Duello, and it's effective, or called Duello. It's effectively me calling for the reinstatement of the time-honored tradition of dueling. I think that there might be some real merit in this, and there's a little bit of a story associated with it. A couple of weeks ago, my friend Dan Gwaltney was with me back at West Point. As we were going through the West Point Museum, I wanted to show him the little case they have where they have Napoleon Bonaparte's dueling pistols that were gifted to West Point by the government of France. So we were both looking at it, and Dan made the comment that I've shared with you guys before, that our society might be a little bit better off if we were to bring back dueling. Certainly people would be less inclined to be offended, or at least as quickly offended, if they realized there was the possibility of actual martial combat as a result of that. So anyways, Dan happens to own a very successful company, and he's rejiggering, I guess, one of his arbitration agreements. And he sort of had half jokingly turned to me and said, "Hey, would you be willing to draft up a dueling provision in the arbitration agreement that we send out to all of our clients?" And I immediately jumped at the opportunity. I said, absolutely, of course. In fact, I may end up putting into one of our own, disclaimers or waivers. So if those of you who tend to look at all the legalese on any of the documents that you sign, happen to look at something from either his company or ours, you may very well find that there is a dueling provision put into our calls for arbitration and alternative dispute resolution. In any event, I think it's a fun blog. I think it's important. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is, there was something lost when honor was the preeminent sort of thing that someone owned, and when their honor was questioned, the appropriate response was some form of lethal combat or potential lethal combat. We've moved away from that, and I'm not necessarily sure that our society is better off as a result. In any event, read the blog. As always, train constantly, train consistently, train repetitively, and train with purpose. After all, you never know when you may be challenged to a duel. In any event, have a good one, guys, and look forward to seeing you next week as well. Stay safe.